The galaxy's most dangerous criminals are back, and this time they're facing something worse than the Empire. Star Wars: Tales of the Underworld brings together the most complex characters from the criminal underworld, and every single one of them has a story that will change how you see the Star Wars universe forever. Asajj Ventress stands at the center of the story, and for good reason. This isn't the same ruthless killer we saw serving Count Dooku during the Clone Wars. She's evolved into something far more interesting, a former dark side user trying to find her place in a galaxy that doesn't forgive easily. Her journey from Sith assassin to independent survivor represents one of the most compelling character arcs in Star Wars. After being betrayed by Dooku and later finding temporary purpose with the Night Sisters, Ventress chose a different path. She's no longer driven by revenge or power, but by survival and perhaps something resembling redemption. The complexity of her character becomes even more apparent when you consider what she's given up. And she once wielded incredible dark side power, commanding fear across the galaxy. Now she's choosing restraint, using that same deadly training to protect rather than destroy. This internal struggle creates tension in every scene she appears in. Her lightsaber skills remain unmatched, but she's learned new ways to solve problems. Where she once relied on intimidation and violence, she now uses strategy and unexpected alliances. This evolution makes her unpredictable to both allies and enemies. In Tales of the Underworld, she's on the run with a new ally, carrying secrets that make her a target for forces across the galaxy. What makes her story fascinating is how she navigates this new reality without falling back into old patterns. She's learned to use her skills for more than just killing, but the galaxy won't let her forget what she used to be. If Ventress represents change, Cad Bane represents the opposite, a character whose reputation precedes him wherever he goes. This Duros bounty hunter built his legend on being unstoppable, but legends come with a price. Bane's story in this series centers on confronting his past, specifically an old friend who's now become a marshal. This setup creates incredible tension because Bane has spent his career avoiding emotional attachments. The idea that someone from his past could become a lawman while he remained an outlaw explores themes of choice and consequence that Star Wars handles brilliantly. What sets Bane apart from other bounty hunters is his meticulous planning and technological advantage. His wide-brimmed hat contains advanced targeting systems, his breathing apparatus filters toxins while enhancing his reflexes, and his twin blasters have rarely missed their mark. He doesn't just capture bounties, he studies them, learns their weaknesses, and exploits their fears. But beneath all that technology and skill lies something more complex. Bane operates by a code that few understand. He keeps his word, honors contracts, and maintains professional standards even in the dirtiest jobs. This ethical framework, twisted as it might be, makes him more than just another gun for hire. The series explores how someone becomes the galaxy's most feared bounty hunter, and what happens when that reputation becomes both asset and liability. Every job now comes with the expectation that Cad Bane can handle the impossible, but even legends have limits. What makes Bane compelling isn't just his skill with blasters or his iconic breathing apparatus, it's how he represents the galaxy's criminal element at its most professional level. He's not a thug or a petty criminal, he's an artist of crime, and that professionalism is being tested in ways we've never seen before. The inclusion of Mother Talzin connects this series directly to some of the most mystical elements of Star Wars lore. As the leader of the Night Sisters, she represents a different kind of power, one that exists outside the traditional Jedi and Sith dichotomy. Her relationship with Ventress adds layers to both characters. Talzin saw potential in Ventress when others saw only a weapon, and their connection runs deeper than master and student. She represents the path Ventress chose to walk away from, but also the power she might need to survive her current situation. Talzin's magic draws from the living force in ways that feel ancient and primal. Where Jedi seek harmony and Sith crave domination, the Night Sisters understand the Force as something wild and untamed. Her abilities include creating undead warriors and manipulating reality in ways that predate both major Force traditions. Her survival beyond the Clone Wars raises questions about what she's been planning during the Empire's rise. The Night Sisters were nearly wiped out, but Talzin endured through methods that that blur the line between life and death. Her presence in the series suggests she has unfinished business that involves more than just personal revenge. The dynamic between Talzin and the other characters creates unique storytelling opportunities. She offers power without the rigid structure of Jedi training or the consuming hunger of Sith philosophy. For someone like Ventress, who's walked away from both traditions, Talzin represents a third option, one that comes with its own dangerous prices. The Night Sisters bring a unique flavor to Star Wars storytelling. Their magic feels ancient and primal compared to the more refined Force abilities we see elsewhere. Talzin's presence suggests that Ventress's past with the Night Sisters isn't as settled as it might appear. Quinlan Vos brings a Jedi perspective to this Underworld story, but he's never been a conventional Jedi. His history with both Ventress and Cad Bane creates a web of connections that promises to complicate everyone's plans. Vos's relationship with Ventress is particularly complex. During the Clone Wars, they worked together on a mission that blurred the lines between light and dark. Their connection survived the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire, making him one of the few people who truly understands what Ventress has become. What makes Vos fascinating is how he operates in the gray areas between Jedi teachings and practical necessity. His psychometric abilities allow him to read objects and environments, giving him insights that traditional investigation methods can't provide. This skill made him valuable during the Clone Wars, but also dangerous to the rigid Jedi structure. His survival of Order 66 wasn't just luck, it was his willingness to embrace methods other Jedi wouldn't consider. He's comfortable working with criminals, understanding their motivations, and even adopting their tactics when necessary. This flexibility kept him alive when more traditional Jedi fell to Imperial purges. The tension in his character comes from balancing Jedi ideals with survival realities. He maintains his connection to the light side while operating in spaces where moral absolutes don't exist. His relationship with Ventress proves that redemption is possible, but it also shows how easily even a Jedi can be pulled toward darker paths. His ties to Cad Bane's past add another dimension to the story. Having a former Jedi connected to both main characters creates opportunities for conflict and cooperation that wouldn't exist otherwise. Vos represents the possibility of redemption, but also the danger of falling back into old patterns. While less is known about Arin's specific role, her presence as someone whose life connects to both Ventress and Cad Bane's stories suggests she's more than just a supporting character. In Star Wars storytelling, characters who serve as connection points between major figures often hold keys to resolving larger conflicts. Arin represents something crucial in the Underworld, the innocent caught between larger forces. Her story likely mirrors what happened to countless beings during the transition from Republic to Empire. People who lived normal lives suddenly found themselves having to make impossible choices just to survive. What makes her character intriguing is how she bridges different worlds. She's connected to both Ventress's journey toward redemption and Bane's confrontation with his past. This positioning suggests she might be the catalyst that forces these characters to examine not just what they've done, but what they're willing to do going forward. The emotional weight of her story comes from how it reflects the broader impact of galactic conflict on ordinary people. While Jedi and Sith fought their philosophical wars, beings like Arin dealt with the practical consequences. Her survival and the choices she's made to get this far tell a story that resonates beyond just the criminal underworld. Her inclusion hints at storylines that will bring together different elements of the underworld in unexpected ways. The fact that both Ventress and Bane's paths cross through her suggests she might be the catalyst that forces these characters to confront not just their past, but their futures. In many ways, she represents hope, the possibility that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, people can find connections that matter. Latts Razzi represents the broader bounty hunting community that exists around characters like Cad Bane. Her connection to Ventress and the bounty hunting world suggests that this series will explore how the criminal underworld operates as a network rather than just individual operators. The bounty hunting community in Star Wars has always been portrayed as both competitive and oddly professional. Razzi's presence suggests we'll see how these professionals interact when larger forces threaten their way of life. She brings her own set of of skills and connections that complement but also challenge the approaches used by more famous hunters like Bane. What makes Razzi important is how she represents the evolution of bounty hunting under Imperial rule. The Empire changed everything about how criminals operate. Jobs became more dangerous but also more profitable. The Imperial bureaucracy created new opportunities while eliminating others. Hunters like Razzi had to adapt or disappear. Her relationship with other bounty hunters reveals the complex social dynamics within this profession. There's respect, rivalry, and sometimes genuine friendship between people who might have to hunt each other depending on who's offering the best contract. These relationships create moral dilemmas that pure mercenaries wouldn't face. The series uses her character to show how the underworld functions as an ecosystem. Information flows between hunters, creating networks of contacts and favors that can be more valuable than credits. Razzi's connections might be what keeps other characters alive or what puts them in danger when loyalties are tested. The smugglers in the series represent a different type of criminal than bounty hunters or assassins. They're entrepreneurs operating in gray markets, moving goods and people across Imperial space where legitimate businesses can't or won't go. Their stories often involve moral choices about what they're willing to transport and who they're willing to help. Criminal organizations in the series show how power structures work in the underworld. Unlike the rigid hierarchy of the Empire, criminal networks operate through personal relationships, shared risks, and constantly shifting alliances. Characters rise and fall based on their ability to deliver results and maintain trust in an environment where betrayal is always possible. The series uses these supporting characters to show the human cost of galactic conflict. Behind every major event in Star Wars history are countless individual stories of people trying to make their way in a dangerous galaxy. These characters represent those stories, giving weight and meaning to the larger narrative. The Empire's involvement adds stakes to every character's story. For Ventress, it means her past as a separatist makes her a target. For Bane, it means jobs are more dangerous but potentially more profitable. For everyone else, it means the galaxy has become a more dangerous place where old rules no longer apply. Imperial characters in the series aren't just faceless enforcers. They're individuals with their own motivations and conflicts, caught between following orders and dealing with the moral complexity of their actions. Some believe in the Empire's mission of bringing order to the galaxy, while others are simply trying to survive in a system that demands absolute loyalty. What makes the Imperial presence particularly effective in this series is how it shows the Empire's impact on individual lives. These aren't the faceless stormtroopers of the original trilogy. They're people with names, histories, and personal stakes in the conflicts they're involved in. This personalization makes their interactions with Underworld characters more meaningful and complex. The series explores how ordinary Imperial personnel deal with the moral ambiguity of their positions. They join to serve order and justice, but find themselves enforcing policies that often contradict those ideals. This internal conflict creates opportunities for unexpected alliances and betrayals that drive the story forward. What makes Tales of the Underworld essential viewing isn't just the return of beloved characters. It's how these characters interact with each other and the changing galaxy around them. The series succeeds because it understands that the most interesting stories happen in the spaces between the major events we know from the films. While the rebellion fights the Empire, these characters are dealing with the personal consequences of galactic conflict. Their struggles feel immediate and relatable in ways that epic space battles sometimes don't. What sets this series apart from other Star Wars content is moral complexity. These characters don't fit neatly into categories of good and evil. They make choices based on survival and personal codes that don't always align with heroic narratives. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more related content shown on screen.